everybody. Now, I thought I would make things just a little bit clear post Ford Fiesta Mark III reveal. I'm chuffed with the reactions. I'm not surprised people have said really good things, and a lot of people have got a lot of memories with the Mark III Fiesta. So you know, it's a really nostalgic car, isn't it? It's a car that was around everywhere in the 90s and in towards probably the most of the noughties as well. I think only realistically Mark III's disappeared around probably 10 years ago, or maybe less than that. And then it was more or less Mark IVs and Mark Vs that you'd see. And now you rarely see them these days, or at least by me, I rarely see one. And it's a nice sight when I do see one, because quite frankly, despite whatever engine they have for some reason, whether it's a Endura, Kent engine, or a 1.25 Sigma, they sound exactly the same through the exhaust. I don't know how Ford did that. That's just ridiculous. I would like to think that the Mark III Fiesta is quite characterful, but I think with a Mark I and Mark II Fiesta, you can hear them from a mile off. They've got that sweet, droney exhaust, but in a rather nice way, so kind of fruity. Whereas the Mark III is a bit more, it's not characterful. It's actually a little bit more mundane, I should say, but more modern back in the day. I thought I'd make a few things very clear going forward here, because I know that, I mean, YouTubers do all this all the time. They buy a new car hoping to gain lots of new subscribers. So I'm hoping all the Ford Fiesta Mark III people are going to come calling. Look, that's not the way I work. I like this car. It came up at the right time. I really couldn't care. If this was, I'll tell you, if I saw a Metro in this condition, I'd have a Metro out there. Doesn't matter. I get Metro people. But honestly, that doesn't bother me whatsoever. And I just enjoy owning the car as it is. At the end of the day, if I wasn't making YouTube videos, I don't think I'd do anything differently. I don't think there's anything that on YouTube, because I'm a YouTuber, that influences me. So if you're very new to me, I don't get influenced by trends. I don't do merchandise, apart from channel stickers, but I don't push them. I don't have any form of revenue income. I don't ask for anything. I don't beg, because it's my choice, my hobby. A few people have sent me some really nice things recently, and that's really generous. A few people have sent me some money through the live streams. That's really generous. And to be fair, I can tell you now, YouTube, it's a dreadful income, realistically. But as a sideshow, I'm absolutely chuffed with what I'm earning, to be honest. But I'm not earning a lot. Most YouTubers don't really earn that much, and it's not justified. It never pays for anything, really. So, no, I don't ask. If people want to give, I'm very, very thankful for that. But anyhow, this is a third car. This is a YouTube car. Because as a car enthusiast, having one car, I had one car for a couple of years until last October when I bought Beatrix, just to focus, because I was doing a restoration on that car, to put it in any sense, pre-YouTube. I wish I hadn't done that and I started YouTube back then, because I think my videos would have been quite popular, judging on the popularity of Mark 1s now on YouTube. Probably just generally because I've caught the moment at the right time, not because of me, just the Mark 1s are catching on a bit now. So I caught the wave as such. But I'm usually a two-car person, and I've got two cars. I've got a Focus Mark 1, which I'm hoping to make into the nicest Mark 1s ever, if it already isn't, but I don't think it is. At least I don't think so. Some people say that, but no. It's had lots of metal, lots of new paint. If it needs metal, it gets metal. If it needs new paint, it gets paint. And there's more of that to come with that car. It's not finished at all. Project Beatrix was bought as a restoration, because that car was near scrap when I bought it, and Rover 45s are not worth much at all. They're worth less than Mark 1 Focuses. It's actually criminal that they're the cheapest, that they're as cheap as they are, because I'd recommend anybody who actually wants something a little bit outside the box. I would say Ford Focus Mark 1s are not outside the box because they were Ford, so naturally, like Escorts and Fiestas and Orions, and Sierras before them, and Mondeos, they will become classics 100%. No one is doubting that. It's just when people start cottoning on before too many of them have gone, and people can't get them because the prices have gone up, because there's so few of them left and people want them. But Rover 45s are very different cars. They are under the radar because of the brand snobbery of Rover and the K-Series head gasket issue. There's no problem with that engine. In fact, I'd say the K-Series, sadly to say, the Sigma is a great engine. One of the best engine, probably the best engine that Ford have ever made, and I think there are many factors to actually back up that argument. Technologically, reliably, and longevity-wise, and actually versatility. Because at first, really, in the early days, it wasn't really a performance engine. I don't think you could push them very far. And then Caterham kind of proved otherwise, and a lot of things for that engine. It's not a Zetec engine. It's confused as a Zetec engine. Zetec engine is a little bit more old school, but usually the stronger the two. There's a lot of engine tuning modification kits that you can buy to upgrade the performance of those engines. They're great. But I would honestly say it's one of probably Ford's best engine, and I think there's a big argument to be said for that. But I still think the K-Series is a better engine. I know Ford fans are going to screw over that, but I keep banging on about it. I think the K-Series has a lot more plus points to it, and it's a slightly older design, which kind of just makes it even more ridiculous. And that's why I'd love a Rover Metro, because I'd have a K-Series, small 1.1 or 1.4 K-Series, and that fills me with a lot of joy. A CVH, on the other hand, is a different kettle of fish. I'm kind of aware about those engines. I will be looking to change the valve guide seals. They're quite easy to change, considering that I'm taking the timing belt off and I've got to get top dead center. You'll take the rocker arms off. You don't have to take the head off because the camshaft is inside the head. It's not on top of the head, it's in the head. CVH engines are very different, and you'll see that soon. The rockers will come off, and I will get a special tool, which is a CVH spring compressor tool. Sealy make it. It's about 18 quid, something like that. And that's okay, that's fine. I don't mind paying that, because I will change the valve stem seals for the modified, what they call top hat seals, which are much better. I'm expecting to find valve stem seals that have gone as hard as a rock, considering that it blows a bit of smoke. Assuming it's not piston rings, but on CVHs, stem seals. But these are my two cars. Beatrix is now near concourse, and I can't. Do you know what? If I haven't got the Mark 1 Focus, that car would be in the garage having a complete respray in exactly the same manner. Does it justify it? No, neither does it justify the Mark 1, because they're not worth much. And that's what I'm going to come on to with the Fiesta. This is a third car. If I wasn't a YouTuber, I wouldn't be buying a third car. I don't believe it's right to manage more than 3 cars. I really honestly don't know how other YouTubers do it. Well, I do know how they do it. They don't do it. If you watch other YouTubers, they cannot look after more than a couple of cars without problems. And leaving one car for about 5 months before they get around to doing the next job because they've got so many cars. I think that's wrong. You cannot look after that amount of cars. I actually think I will struggle with 3 cars. I really do. I think 3 cars, one 34-year-old, a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old. It's an aging fleet of cars here, and none of them are finished, and they're not ever finished. There is absolutely tons of work to be done. This Fiesta, there's a lot of work to be done on this car, more than I thought. And whoever's buying it off me, oh my God, they're going to get a good car. There's a question mark over the wheel arches. I have had a look at the wheel arches in more detail. I'm not going to touch one side, the passenger side. I'm going to touch the driver's side because that looks a bit more frilly. I would like to say that there's a lot of metal there still. There's some metal loss, and someone has been there in the past, and I have got to correct their work or go over it. Put it this way, they did a very good job, but it wasn't metal. Some of it was filler, but actually I think it looks quite good, and there is no evidence that there is any sign of severe corrosion in them arches. I am not at the stage where I am going to be welding. I am learning to weld. That is a body shop job. You have got the inner arch and the outer panel butt welded together in that arch lip, and when they separate, God almighty, it's a big job. Luckily, I can actually straighten that out, clamp the lip, there's enough strength in there, and put some new sealer in the lip itself to prevent issues. There's going to be a lot of preventative maintenance in that respect. It's going to take time. That's not the priority, even though I am very well aware about it. There's another thing I have to point out. The only reason I would get welding done on this car is if I had absolutely no choice. Because I cannot justify, on top of all the work that I'm putting into this car, and we're not talking a couple of £100. I mean, tyres, that's 200 quid straight away. Gone. We're talking about 600, 700, 800 pounds worth of work here. I think we're talking about that long term before that car can go to a show. And that is without paintwork. Paintwork is not my strong point, so it's not going to look the best, but it's going to look as good as what I can possibly make it at home. What I am going to do is go to a paint shop and try and get a scan made of that two-tone grey, because Ford, there's no colour for it. In Austin Rover, it's called Tempest Grey, the two-tone, but on Ford, there's no colour for it. There's no colour code for that grey. It's literally stone chip that they had hanging around. Every single one of them is a different shade of grey, from what I can tell. Every single one. So it's whatever they had left in the shop. So I'm going to try and get a scan made to see if I can get it mixed, so it will look as good as what I can make it at home. And all I will say is that I will try my uttermost best to improve that car in every other way that I can. However, because it's a third car, there are two factors. My Mark 1 Focus and Beatrix come first. They come first. So Ford Fiesta people, you're going to be watching a lot of work, but it's going to be done very tightly. And I'm going to try and keep the budget low. I've got a post-it note with every penny that I spend on this car, resources and parts. And there's going to be a total added up at the end. And I will let people judge in 12 months' time, when I'm ready to move this car on, what they think it's worth. And believe you me, I'm not selling it for nothing. This is a fucking good example. Sorry for the swearing. But anyway, I'm going to leave this here just so that you're aware. I am not going to go OTT like the Focus. It's going to be very tightly managed, as much as I possibly can. And with old cars, it can spiral out of control. And that cannot happen with this car. If I feel that is happening with this car, that will leave me in a bit of an issue where I might have to keep the car for longer, because I cannot justify selling the car in 12 months for probably not much more than I bought it, but having spent a grand on it, let's say. This is where you have to be careful with old cars, and it's a lesson that I'm going to learn, possibly. And I would like you to be aware about it, because this is the dangerous world of classic cars. It's great, classic cars are fun. They can also kill your wallet, and it can cause a lot of financial headaches, and you have to be very, very careful. So I'm going to leave that as a disclaimer. But anyway, there are plenty of videos to come. You take care, guys. I will see you very soon, and welcome to the channel. If you are Ford Fiesta Mark III person, or anybody who's watched any of my recent videos, this is me in my comfort zone, tinkering. I love tinkering. I love rebuilding stuff. It's what makes owning a car this age enjoyable. But you've got to have fun in it. And I want to be driving this car as soon as possible, but it will take as long as it takes. Take care, guys.